Shut up, Smarks. REDUX. No, I won't tap out. I won't tap out. All of you bastards suck. Just stop watching Raw. Stop watching Raw. So, I have a bit of an interesting couple of episodes. 3, actually, I guess, when I think of it. I'll be either pre-previewing or pay-per-reviewing, or both, 2 shows each episode. So, today, I'll be pre-previewing Global Force Wrestling's Destination X episode of Impact Wrestling, and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, because if I do it next week, then it's that night. It's actually, so the actual podcast of the episode would be, for that particular aspect of it, kind of useless, except for, I guess, historical purposes, I suppose, because the podcast is usually up, later that night, and then at the latest the following morning people will be listening to it. So it just seems, unless you're not going to be watching TakeOver live or whatever. So anyway, so it just makes sense to me. I don't anticipate there's going to be a whole lot changed. If there is anything changed, I'll update the day of. I might not include that in the podcast. I don't know. When it comes time to actually podcast it, I may or may not include it. I don't know. And then next week will be the pay-per-review. Not that there's really a pay-per-view, I guess, but of Destination X. And then a pre-preview of SummerSlam. And then the following week, it'll be a pay-per-review of both TakeOver, Brooklyn, and SummerSlam. So it's going to be an interesting 3 weeks, I think, well, I got 2 shows to do, so I might as well, in order to decide which one I'm going to do first, I'm going to use my Magic Smart Ball that I got from ProWrestlingCrate.com a year or so ago, I think. Which of these shows should I pre-preview first? GFW's Destination X episode of Impact Wrestling, or NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3? Future endeavored. I'm not sure what that means. Let's try another one. Screwjob. I'm just going to do the Impact Wrestling episode then. All right, so we got 5 matches for Destination X this coming Thursday on Pop. Still on Pop, yeah. Still hashtag Impact on Pop. So we're starting with the Super X Cup Finals, which sees Taiji Shimohori taking on Desmond Xavier in the finals. So, don't know too much about either of these 2 fellas, but I do know that Desmond Xavier doesn't have a Wikipedia page. So, if for no other reason, I haven't really been keeping up with Impact. I've started watching it again because it's just been so... I was actually a little bit scared that the whole Josh Matthews, Jeremy Borash thing would still be going on. But that seems to have calmed down a bit. They're still there. They're still doing commentary. And every now and then they'll take snipes at each other. But it's not nearly as bad as it was when I decided I was going to stop watching. So I started watching when they did the whole GFW switchover. I assume I'll get to know... they're like WWE, Impact Wrestling, and by extension, Global Force Wrestling, are good at their video packages. So I'll get caught up when I watch the beginning of this match. So I'm just going to guess, for no other criteria whatsoever, except one of them has a Wikipedia page, I'm going to go with Taiji Ishimori. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jobronology TV. This is Fabo Mark Jabroni. You're listening to Ring Rust on the Club Kayfabe Creative Community. Within, maybe? I should say not on, but within, I suppose. Oh, because Chris O'Mealy of the Club Kayfabe Facebook group proposed that since there's so many creative people within the community of the Club Kayfabe. Ooh, see how the name's coming together? He decided he was just going to, because there's a lot of podcasters, a lot of artists that he knows, they're all members of that particular group, myself included, and he decided, what a great idea. Let's all get together and do something creatively in a community. Produced by Club K. I'm just beating a dead horse now. So every time I tweet about the show, when Ring Rust is about to come on, or when Ring Rust is on, or when Ring Rust, the podcast is available, I will include their Twitter account at CKCC Online. Want me to spell it out for you? I just did. So anyway, if you don't know how to spell online, then you yourself probably shouldn't be online. Onward and upward, back to the GFW Destination X episode of Impact Wrestling coming up next week on Pop TV. A Unified Knockout Championship match, which sees champion Sienna defending against TNA Hall of Famer Gail Kim. I don't know if it's necessarily a safe bet that Gail Kim's going to end up winning this match, but I'd like to see it. So, that's my prediction anyway. Gail Kim winning the Unified GFW Knockouts Championship. We'll see how it turns out. I probably won't be disappointed either way, but if Sienna pinkies up title defense, or Gail Kim eat defeat title win. So either way, I'm sure it's going to be an enjoyable match. And we'll see how it turns out. That's my prediction, though. Gail Kim. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. So if you know of a wrestling-related song or a wrestling theme song, whatever, that you haven't heard on here, if you want to make an email request, send an email over to ring-rust@hotmail.com, or tweet me at Mark Jabroni, or leave a message on the CHMR's Ring Rust Facebook page. And while you're there, give it a like if you're so inclined. So, back to the GFW Destination X pre-preview episode of the Impact Wrestling episode this coming week. Next up, we have the Global Force Wrestling title #1 contendership. Bobby Lashley will be taking on Matt Sydal. So, both guys used to be in WWE. I don't know if Matt was ever in TNA before, or TNA/Impact Wrestling/Global Force Wrestling at any point in the past. I really don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to have been, I guess. But, because Santino Marella wasn't in WWE before he won the Intercontinental title. So, there you go. It's not necessarily untested waters, but generally speaking, it's not waters a wrestling promotion will go into all that often, because last thing you want to do is make it predictable that guy shows up, challenges for the title, he's going to win the title. So, want to have some kind of surprise. So, point of fact, though, would be surprised if Matt Sydal, former Evan Bourne, would actually win. But then, then again, maybe he'd be too busy, quote, high-flying, unquote, on a plane to Japan and then end up in prison for it. So, what, I can transport marijuana in my vapor? No, not vaping. You can't put me in prison for vaping. What? No, of course it's nicotine. What? What's that over there? Did he just make a Looney Tunes sound and run away? With probably a heavier Japanese accent. But anyway, on to the music to commemorate my prediction. It just seems, like they said on actually the most recent episode of Lucha Underground, this is why heavyweights don't wrestle welterweights, or whatever. Was it welterweights, I think? Because, well, Bobby Lashley's probably just gonna beat him up a lot. Beat him up, break his neck. Beat him up. That's something else. That's another song. I might play that later on if I'm talking about Mark Henry. But anyway.
Hey, what's up? This is referee Tony S, and you're listening to Ring Rust on CHMR. Yeah, well, two can blow bubbles in this bathtub.
Ha! You're as dumb as I am!
Clean up in aisle 3.
This is Fatboy Mark Jabroni. You are listening to Ring Rust, now a part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. See? It flows a lot better the more I practice it. So, back to the Destination X. I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase it to get everything included. Preview of the Destination X episode of Impact Wrestling for Global Force Wrestling, I guess, is probably the best way to say it. Now that I'm just about done, I'm figuring out how to say it all. Practice makes... Anyway. So next up, we have the ladder match for the Global Force Wrestling X Division Championship. A while ago, they actually just went and unified all the titles. Now they got new belts to represent the one title for both promotions. Now it's only one promotion, so it's one title for one promotion. So I don't know if there was an X Division title or a similar title within the Global Force Wrestling. I wasn't actually watching much of it. I actually barely got anything from Global Force Wrestling, like me personally. Barely saw anything of it, like through my Facebook feed or through my Twitter. I'm sure there were posts of stuff, I just wasn't seeing it. And none of the wrestling pages I'm a member of were posting anything about it, so here we are. So we have Sanjay Dutt defending his championship, sort of, kind of, because Trevor Lee has had physical possession of the title for the past while now, so he's been, quote-unquote, defending the title over the past few weeks, and it's made for some relatively interesting, entertaining TV, so we'll see how the blow-off match comes out for this. It is a ladder match, so one of them has to climb the ladder and get the belt, and then they're the champion. So we'll see. Maybe Trevor Lee will actually luck out and grab the belt. I do foresee, though, that Sanjay Dutt is going to regain, defend, regain as in get possession of it again, his X Division Championship, but you never know. Trevor Lee may pull one out. We'll see you next week on Impact Wrestling. You are listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. This is Fanboy Mark Jabroni. You are listening to Ring Rust, now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. Practice makes perfect. And ending things off for the Destination X episode of Global Force Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, next week on Pop TV, sees Alberto El Patron defending his unified GWF World Heavyweight Championship against Low Ki. Wait a minute. Low Ki? For the... I'm seeing the word heavyweight in the name of the title, right? Okay. So, wait a minute. Hang on a second. That's Cabal, you idiot. Do I even need to... For the same reason that I think Bobby Lashley's going to beat Matt Sydal, I think Alberto Patron is most likely going to defeat Low Ki. Unless, unless they really, really don't want him to be champion. Wink. As I dislocate my eyeball from winking. For those who are aware of what's been going on with Alberto Del Rio, Alberto El Patron, whatever you want to call him, and his fiancée Paige. You are listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM. Ring Rust presents Macho Facts. Randy Savage can speak Braille. And the Macho Man regularly donates blood to the Red Cross. Just not his own. Like me on Facebook, tinyearl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkJabroni. And subscribe to Jabronology TV. YouTube.com/fanboymarkjabroni.
So, now that I'm done with the Destination X pre-preview, it's time for the TakeOver Brooklyn 3 pre-preview on the WWE Network. Next weekend, but again, Ring Rust happens on Friday, and the show happens on Friday, so it just doesn't seem to be, doesn't seem to make much sense to preview it on the day that it's happening, and then no one might have a chance to listen to it. So I'm taking my chances. There's not going to be any major changes. So we got 5 matches, so let's get to it. No particular order. We're going to start with the tag match. Authors of Pain, Akam and Razar, will be defending their championships against Sanity members Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane, who, if you have listened to my show regularly, will know that I enjoy naming tag teams. So I call them the 2017 World Cup qualification, because one's from Germany and the other's from Northern Ireland. And look it up. Maybe next time. I don't really see the Authors of Pain. I was about to call them the Powers of Pain. Anyway, I don't see the Authors of Pain losing them just yet. Maybe. I don't know. They could lose them. I wouldn't be disappointed in the slightest if they did lose, but I do foresee them defending their titles at least for the time being. So I predict Pain for pretty much everybody, including potentially Paul Ellering, Eric Young, and Nikki Cross. But hey, you got a face? Punch! Hey, you've got a face? Punch! Guys, the match is in here. What are you doing? What? Okay, we'll just go punch them as well. Hey, you, punch. It would be kind of funny, I guess.
Rocket!
I see your Schwartz is just as big as mine. Wait for it. Oops.
This is a great chance to talk Slamming Wrestling News Radio on Ring Rust, CHMR 93.5 FM.
This is Fanboy Mark Jabroni. You are listening to Ring Rust, now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. So back to the WWE NXT TakeOver Brooklyn pre-preview. So we got Aleister Black taking on Hideo Itami. I think, I don't know. Maybe they'll give Hideo a little bit of a losing streak to. I don't know. I just don't know. He's taken a turn to the Snidely Whiplash side, so we'll see how that all plays out. So meanwhile, I think Aleister Black is probably going to end up winning this match. We'll see, though. I wouldn't be too disappointed to see Aleister Black getting a go to sleep. Right to the face. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. And also, Johnny Gargano will be taking on Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega in his corner. So, Thea Trinidad, if you don't know who, anyway. So, Andrade Almas himself seems to have a little bit of a losing streak, so I think unless they're thinking we'll give him a win here and then this will be his big comeback, I think probably Johnny Gargano is going to end up winning this one. Although he's the kind of guy who probably wouldn't be too bothered by losing, but again, that's my prediction. Johnny Gargano for the win. That rebel heart of his. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. This is Fanboy Mark Jabroni. You are listening to Ring Rust, now part of the Club Kayfabe creative community. The next match, which is Asuka defending her NXT Women's Championship against Ember Moon. I don't anticipate any real surprises. You never know, because Ember Moon is challenged in multi-woman matches, and she's challenged one-on-one, and not beaten Asuka yet. Well, who knows? what's going to happen with this one. I do, though, still anticipate Asuka is going to defend her title. Then again, that's what I do. I play it semi-safe. I say the champion's going to defend.
Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkGibroni. And subscribe to Jabronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkgibroni.
Which leads us right into the next match. The NXT Championship will be on the line with Bobby Roode defending against Drew McIntyre. And it is the first time Drew McIntyre is challenging for this title. So, as I've noticed over the years, the first time you challenge for a title, generally speaking, you don't win it. Generally speaking. Don't jump up and say, what about these? In the history of wrestling, very small number of examples to the contrary, like the aforementioned Santino Marella. Gail Kim winning the WWF Women's Championship. Christian winning the light heavyweight, actually, championship when he debuted. I mean, there's any number of exceptions, but they are exceptions. So I do anticipate, as I've been saying for all the other champions, it's just a title defense. I don't know if I'm playing it safe or if I actually feel that's the most likely outcome. But anyway, regardless, I think the choice would be glorious.
That's it for another show, kiddies. Check me out on Facebook, where you can keep track of all the news that's right on the mark, from around ringside to the latest concerts. See you at the shows. Later days.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.